Hi, this is Angelina Asante. Welcome to Bang a Yui, the podcast with interesting people. Today we have on Pat Stanford, my friend. She is a poet and an award-winning author. She is also president of an organization for you would-be authors out there. She's going to tell you what you need to do as an author and some things to help you promote your book. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Sure. So, what are you up to?
About 5'8" and a half.
I meant writing. Writing.
I know. Right now I'm writing a book about 20 different people who have brain trauma of some sort. They have maybe a combat veteran. We might have a person with a stroke, have shaken baby, just various ways that your brain can get injured after you're born normal.
Oh my gosh. All right. Now, is this a follow-up? Because you did have an award-winning book based on your sister, right?
Right. That one was released in 2017. It was called Fixing Boo Boo, a story of traumatic brain injury. And it was a true story about my sister who was brain injured, came to live with my husband and myself. After her husband died of bone cancer, we had no idea what we were getting into. The second book is coming from those people who come up to me at book signings and say, I was brain injured once, or I know someone who's brain injured, and started collecting their information to see if they wanted to tell their stories, because there's a lot of different types of brain injury aside from the traumatic brain injury. There's acquired brain injury and all sorts of things. So just a different perspective.
So is this a book where, no, you give, don't you have like an index to help people? Like there are some things where you could tell people to reach out to certain groups to get help, and you're writing.
The first book had what we call a resources section of all of the brain injury associations and affiliations alphabetically listed in the back of the book, all of them in the United States. And then some other things that my sister she had a couple other things wrong with her, which is why we called her Boo Boo, but she had COPD, she had psoriasis, and there's a lot of other things that she had. So we were trying to give people a way to, if you don't know anything about a certain thing, here's a way to get started.
Okay. All right. So it's kind of like an outreach almost, like you're kind of helping people.
Here's where you get started if you don't know where to go.
Okay. So now jumping to your poet book, what are the poems about?
Well, the first book of poetry was released in 2019. It was called Proverbs of My Seasons, Poetry of Transition. It was a 4-section poetry book. We put it in seasons simply because it was 4 sections. There was, I called them relationship type poems, or love poems you would think of as spring. Summer I usually think of as friendship. That's when you have fun, sun, and go to the beach and hang out with your friends. And then the third section was mostly nature poems that I called the fall section, basically. And then the winter section was me waxing poetic about my life, looking back on things, etc., etc. That was the first poetry book that was released in 2019. As I said, it won 2 gold medals. One was for poetry and the other was for cover design. The second poetry book was just released this past year, a couple of months ago, and it's a 5-section poetry book. The first section is mostly poems written during the pandemic, which was all written during the month of April, which was National Poetry Month.
Oh, wow.
I also have my mother's poems in there. I've always wanted to publish hers because she was kind of an inspiration. There's a section of, they were songs basically that I wrote when I was a teenager, and I never recorded them and I never did anything else with them. And then there's a section I call Pietry, which it's a contraction of pie and poetry, and it came about when a friend of mine was congratulating me on my first book and misspelled poetry.
Oh
and
my
she
gosh.
misspelled it poetry. So I got the idea of asking my friends to give me their favorite pie recipe, and now you've got to write a poem about your pie recipe. So it's kind of a fun little last section of recipes and poems.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So how many books have you written altogether?
Well, that's 3. Working on the 4th, and then after this second nonfiction, I'm strictly going to be fiction.
Oh, really? What genre?
Action adventure. Action adventure.
Oh, okay. Cool. And so what else are you doing right now? Are you writing right now, or are you doing something else?
Well, I'm talking to you.
Again, in the career.
I'm doing a lot of yard work.
Oh.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, yard work. I'm killing myself in the yard. No, I'm not really doing a whole lot of writing. Binge reading, really.
Okay. So you're also president of an organization. Do you want to tell the listeners about that?
Sure. I'm president of the Florida Authors and Publishers Association, which is a organization that unites authors with publishers, or authors or publishers with editors. It's a networking organization, whereas you would join a writers association for learning your craft. Florida Authors and Publishers Association is something that you would probably join after at least in your first edits. It's not a craft type organization. It's more of a, okay, you've written a book, now what do you do with it? So if you need a publisher, I can find you one. If you need an editor, I can help you with that. If you need a cover designer, we can hook you up with that. It's a networking organization more than anything else.
Okay,
but right now we have our annual book awards. It's open until the end of April. So if you already have a book done, ready to go, edited, got your cover, you can go to myfappa.org and enter your book in our book awards.
And do you think that having a book award on your book makes a difference as far as selling when you're out on these events?
It does for me. Some people say it doesn't. And some people don't think they want one because they think it's contrived somehow. But I think it does attract people. And it allows you to say, I entered this in a book awards. I had a lot of competition, and I did have a lot of competition in the poetry. There was 19 entries that year. That I got the gold medal out of 19 entries really was quite the surprise. It validated me as a poet. It validated me as a 10-year-old who started writing poetry that long ago. I just, and among your peers, they kind of tend to look at you a little bit different, I think.
Well, and yours is a juried contest, so it's not like people are mailing in and just getting, buying the award. You guys actually have judges that judge the books.
Right. There are 3 judges per category. So if one judge doesn't like you at all and scores you down in the 50s, you still have 2 chances to at least get into a silver range. And I know, so you have 3 different people. I know some contests only have 1 judge, and that 1 judge can ruin it for you. But if you have 3 people and you take the average of those 3 people, I think that's a much fairer way of judging a book awards. My opinion, of course.
Yep. No, I think that's good. And then you guys so that's happening in April, and then they're going to be announced when?
Probably at the end of May.
Okay.
We'll have at least the finalists ready to go. We try to give the judges, since it ends at the end of April, we need to, if somebody enters at the very end of April, we need to give the judges a chance to read the books and do a decent job on their judging. So
you guys will you'll have an award ceremony for that too? You're actually going to have a physical one this year, right? Hopefully.
Well, we're hoping to. If everything calms down, we're going to meet in Orlando at the Hilton, um, at the Disney there, Buena Vista Palace, I think it's called. And we have a conference attached to the Book Awards. We have 10 speakers plus a keynote, so that's 11 total speakers. 3 workshops on Friday, and then we have 4 speakers on Saturday, plus the keynote and then the Book Awards ceremony that night.
So anybody we know, is there anybody come to the conference that you say, oh, this, if you're a new author, this might be a good person for you to listen to?
Well, we have a wide topic range of things that we're talking about. One of them is treating your authorship like a business. A lot of people don't treat it like a business. They think somebody else is going to market their books for them and track their taxes and their sales and everything else, and that's not true. You're a bookpreneur. You're an entrepreneur, and you need to take care of your own stuff. So we have 2 people talking about being an entrepreneur. I'm not saying that right, but one of them is more to the aspect of actually treating it like a business, and the other one is treating it more like, getting on as an entrepreneur. So there's also one talking about publishing law, what is legal and not legal.
Nice.
So there's a wide variety of topics that we're going to cover this year.
And then that's a 2-day conference?
Yeah, it's going to be at the end of July. Usually it's the very first part of August, but it's going to be July 30th and 31st.
Okay.
30th being the Friday and 31st being the Saturday. And
so that hotel is in Buena Vista, so people could bring their families if the spouse and kids want to go do other stuff while they're attending the conference.
You get the Leiji River while you're getting your information.
And then that is, because I've been to that conference, that's really big for networking. I've made a lot of contacts. The good thing about making contacts is I have noticed that this network of authors, if they know about a book event, they'll tell other authors about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to be around like-minded people, because I do find that people help each other.
Yeah, we hope so.
And then what else is going on? Anything?
Well, I'm past president of a local writers group here in town. I'm in Tallahassee, and we were just wrapping up a very strange year, as everybody else was doing, and
for sure,
we're trying to figure out what we can and cannot do in person. Hopefully that will be maybe in the second quarter. We can start meeting again in person instead of Zoom all the time. But nothing wrong with Zoom.
Well, the nice thing about Zoom is I'm in South Florida and you're in North Florida, and we can see each other. So that is the nice part for me, because I haven't seen you for a while.
Right.
And I prefer looking at you when I'm talking to you, because it feels like we're connected.
Yes.
So if someone wants to know more about you, where do they find you?
Well, you can go to my website, www.patstanford.com. I have what I'm doing, my events that are coming up. I also, besides my books, which you can order on my website and I will send to you for free, and I will be more than happy to sign one to you personally. But I also have a tab on my website that I'm helping some friends of mine who cannot get out because of the COVID pandemic, and you can see what they're up to. Some of them were members of the Tallahassee Writers Association. They just can't get out because right now they are kind of immune system compromised, and I am getting out a little bit, things here and there, but they can't get out at all. So,
well,
you can check them out.
I'm gonna go on your website right now and take a look. I want to see if I know anyone. But it was good to have